I'm Charlotte Newland, and this month I'm going to show you how to make a super simple block called Churn. It's made using half square triangles and rectangles. It's really effective and couldn't be easier. So here's what you need for your Churn block. One 4.5 inch square for the centre of the block. I've chosen to fussy cut a little image here of a bird because I think that would be really cute in the middle. These are for the half square triangles. There's 2 each of background and Churn fabrics. Each of them are 5 1/8 inches square, so that's 4 squares in total. And then for the rectangle portions, you've got 2 strips, 2.5 inches by 18.5 inches long. First we're going to sew these strips together and cut them up so that we have our 4 rectangle blocks. Place them right sides together and sew along one long edge with a 1/4 inch seam. So I've sewn these together and I pressed towards the darker fabric, and I'm going to trim this into 4 pieces that are 4.5 inches square. I'm going to line the seam up on the 2.5 inch line on my ruler, 2.25, sorry, and then I'm going to trim this into 4.5 inch lengths. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Got a little scrap left that can just go in the bin. Next we're going to make our half square triangles. So I'm going to start by drawing a diagonal line from corner to corner across my light coloured squares. Like this, and then I'm going to draw another line 1/4 inch away from that one on both sides. This is your stitching line. You can just use your 1/4 inch guide on your machine or your 1/4 inch foot to sew 1/4 inch away from the central line, but I find it just a little more accurate to actually draw the lines. It makes me sew extra straight, and it makes my half square triangles just that little bit better. I'm not the best at sewing straight lines. So anything I can do to make that less wibbly is what I'm going to do. Okay, so we've got that now. Each of them have got 3 lines drawn on them, and you put them right sides together with your other coloured fabric. And I'm just going to stitch along each of those 2 outer lines with my machine. So here you can see I've stitched on both of those lines on each of my sets of the half square triangle fabrics, and now I'm going to cut along the centre line, corner to corner, to separate that out so that each one becomes 2 half square triangle blocks. Like that. I'm going to press these so that the seam goes towards the darker side, the darker fabric, and then I'm going to trim them to size because they'll come out slightly bigger than you need them so that you can make them really accurate for your piecing of your block later. Okay, so these all need to be trimmed to 4.5 inches. This is a really handy ruler I've got here. It's called a block lock ruler, and it's got a little channel in it that the seam allowance fits into, so you can cut really accurately. It sort of locks it in place on the ruler. It's very handy. If you can get hold of one of those, then it can make trimming these things so much easier. Of course, if you haven't got one, don't worry, you can just use any square ruler. Oops. This way. So this is 4.5 inches square. You can see I've just trimmed away a few little bits around the edge and the dog ears from the corners. Let me show you that with a normal ruler. It's just as easy. Just line up the diagonal line on the ruler with the stitch line, the seam line down the middle. And trim the block to size. So carry on until you've done all 4 of your HST units. Okay, now we've got all of our units prepared. We can assemble them into our churn dash block. Our bird's going to go in the middle, and then I'm going to surround it with the yellow, and then the half square triangles like this. I'm going to sew these together in rows, and then I'll sew the rows together to make the block. So there's your block. If I flip it over, you can see that I've pressed these long seams open just to reduce bulk in the final block. That's up to you. If you prefer to press them to one side, then that's fine. That's just the way I like to do it. There we go. So there you have it, the super simple churn dash block. Choose anything you like to put in the middle and have fun with it.